You gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you. It's Tuesday. It's 9:15. But if you're watching live, you might understand why things are a little bit different, because with me as always, and in a much different capacity than normal, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how are you doing tonight?
Doing just fine, little bro. Doing just fine. You know what the best part about our setup is tonight?
What's that?
This.
For those of you listening in audio, what you don't realize is that Rich and I are actually sitting next to each other. We're both on our own screen. I still got to wear headphones so I can hear the music and everything going on. But yes, we are here together. I can come in on Rich's screen. He can come in on mine because we are sitting side by side. I'm doing a little trip in honor of celebrating my daughter's birthday. She turned 16 not long ago. And so we were in town, and for me to be able to do the show, it made the most sense to come by Big Bro's house and sit next to each other and talk about Steelers. I'll try to focus on the camera and not turn and look at him so much. But Rich, we already had dinner together.
Yep.
So, and they say, Gavin Anthony wants to know, why did you even use one camera? It's simple. I don't know if we need a wide-angled lens to get us both in the same shot.
Yeah, we'd have to set the laptop back so far to get us both in the screen that you probably wouldn't really be able to see us very well. So we decided to go, separate screens.
Yeah, and hey, we've got somebody new in the live chat. TC says never hasn't been able to catch a live show. That's great to have you here. Whoo! Tell you what, it's been a busy day for me. Lots of traveling, lots of hiking, all kinds of great stuff. But like I said, got to have dinner with my bro earlier, and now we get to talk Steelers. We did all that we could to not talk Steelers, so we could do our Steelers talk.
That was hard.
Yeah, it was.
That was hard to have dinner and not talk Steelers.
We had to sit at opposite ends of the table. I sat closer to Kyle. You sat with my son, and so we could avoid that because we knew we'd get to do this here. So this is a little bit different show because we're with each other. But the other thing that's great is we're talking about Steelers football that happened on the field.
Yeah, we're talking about game. We're not talking about practice.
No.
We're talking about a game.
Yeah. So wait a second. The problem is when I if I play you something like this,
Talking about practice.
you're not able to hear it because of the
can't hear
stuff we have. But yeah, so this is a lot of fun. Hopefully we're coming through loud enough for everyone. If we're not, just try to let us know and we can do whatever we can. There's plenty going on. There's more drama, or I don't know if it's drama or if it's more drama from the media and fan base, in my opinion, with the whole potential Ayuk situation going on there. So right now, it's kind of a wait-and-see mode, and we've kind of been in wait-and-see mode for a long time. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to continue to just wait and see. So we're going to hold. We're going to mention, hey, it's out there. The Steelers might add another wide receiver. They might not. They're just they're not really pressing things. They're just kind of waiting, and I wouldn't be shocked if this whole thing is for the 49ers to try to work out a deal. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate anymore because I'm just kind of tired of it. How about you?
The wait and see component is the wait and see component.
Yes, maybe they're having a clerical error with getting the paperwork done. But so let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Steelers football, because you know what? There's some people that were pretty disappointed with this preseason outcome, because we've kind of been set up for the last couple of years. The Steelers had a 6-game winning streak, I think, coming into this.
Something like that.
You know what? Do we worry about who wins preseason games?
No.
We worry about how people play in preseason games. And there was plenty to build on, but there were also some strong points. Just overall, what do you think? What's the biggest thing you took away from the game on Friday?
Couple things. I was okay with. I was not it wasn't like last year with the first string offense, but I was okay with what I was seeing from the first string offense. A couple catches for George Pickens, a couple of decent runs from Najee and Warren. We had the couple of fumble snaps with Fields. To me, that's still preseason stuff. That's the first game you've been truly live. If that's still happening come preseason game 3, I'd be a little more worried about it. Preseason game 1, not quite as big a deal. The game wasn't as electrifying as things felt last year, but in the end, that's not what I was really looking for. We got. I mean, think about how the games last year were more electrifying. Everybody was pumped. Everybody was hyped. And remember, 4 or 5 games into the season, then how disappointed everybody was because it didn't continue like the preseason. The preseason, I think I used the term, it's vanilla. It's vanilla offenses. It's vanilla defenses. It's more about guys' physical traits and things they actually are capable of physically on the field.
Yeah. Winning one-on-ones.
Yes. And I saw some good things. I saw some things that need some work. And after preseason game 1, I am fine with that. I'm fine with that. You really think about it. Honestly, all said and done, in my opinion, the Steelers actually win that game.
Yeah, and
the Steelers, technically in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking the Steelers really scored 21 points in that game.
Yeah, I mean they should have punched in the one other one. They shouldn't. I mean, my goodness, a botched snap. Therefore, you're going for 2 the next time, and things of that nature. If it wasn't, well, honestly, if it wasn't a preseason game, the Steelers are probably looking for a field goal to tie the last 2 possessions because people were up in arms about, he should have challenged that throw from that catch to Van Jefferson. That looked like a good catch. It did. Now, did it get highly scrutinized like it would have been broken down frame by frame if it had been challenged? No. So we can't say for certain, but did you think it looked like a catch? I thought it looked like a catch.
I thought it looked like a catch, but it's the preseason.
Yeah. You don't do things the same in the preseason.
Yeah.
You're not playing to win. You're playing to learn things.
And the coaching staff is playing the game to evaluate players.
Yeah.
And did the Steelers coaching staff get plenty to evaluate players?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards saying they did, especially considering the one. I don't know. I'll call it the one piece of news that's kind of been out there a little bit, since the game happened, and that is the Steelers feel that even though he's dinged up a little bit now that first round draft pick Troy Fuatanu is going to be the starting right guard. To me, then what the coaching staff is saying is we saw enough so far in camp, and we saw enough in this game to feel comfortable saying we can move forward with this guy starting at right tackle.
Yeah.
And that's what these games are to be used for. To me, in this game, we saw, especially early on, was seeing some great play from Peyton Wilson. So I have a tendency more to grade things on, I don't want to say just on individual stuff because it's not, because I want to see certain things as a unit. But it can be hard, especially defensively, to me, to judge things as a unit because, especially defensively, you're getting about as vanilla of defensive stuff thrown out there as can be in the preseason. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you heard the report about Falatano. We had that on as one of our source podcasts that the Steelers aren't going to hold back their first couple round draft picks. If they're ready to go to start week 1, they'll play. And Falatano they're basically saying, hey, this is not going to preclude him from still starting week 1, even though he's going to miss this week. We'll see how he is the following week and everything else. I got to backtrack a little bit on some stuff that I've said in the offseason but my goodness, the offseason's so long. We've been saying an awful lot of stuff. So there's going to be stuff that we get right on and stuff that we're like, yikes. And I kept saying, you know what? Doesn't matter with Broderick Jones. He's the swing tackle, even though he's a starter. He's got it. Someone's got to know how to play both sides. He's the guy that's best fit for that. Some people want to see him get to the spot he's going to be at and let him settle in. And I said he's good enough that he doesn't have to. Of the 3 tackles, he had the worst game of the 3 main tackles. Now, Dan Moore Jr. only had 6 snaps. It's so funny because I heard people like, oh, Dan Moore was so bad for him. I'm like, you must have been thinking when you were watching Broderick Jones, you were watching Dan Moore because he barely played. And when he played, he was fine. So I'd like to see Broderick Jones get some improvements this week. But, we'll get to this week. We're still talking about last week. My biggest thing is I know it's a new offense, new offensive coordinator, new quarterbacks, lots of new stuff. Yes, I know they didn't punch it in, and if it's not preseason, I said before, I'm like they didn't challenge that in the preseason because Coach Tomlin probably wanted to see, hey, how do they handle a 3rd and 6? When you're on the right at the cusp of field goal range, and
right.
Well, they didn't handle it well. They took a sack, but that's a learning moment. Maybe that moment was more important to him. But at the same time, if it's not a preseason game, I think they kick that field goal.
Oh, more than likely, yes.
Yeah. Although I would want them to go for it in a regular season game, but chances are he's going to kick that field goal. But my biggest thing is 12 points. 12 points is disappointing to me. Yes, it's difficult because Houston was on a different schedule, as I pointed out, meaning this not only was this their second preseason game, look at how many more practices they had. We are talking about practice.
We are talking about practice.
And trust me, that means a lot. It means a lot to have more practices because, going back to me, coaching freshman high school football, but still, just the whole idea. Our varsity coach didn't want the freshmen to be as much of a distraction, so we weren't allowed to practice the first 2 days so the varsity could get going. Well, that's when we were doing 2-a-days. So we missed 4 practices. We had 4 less practices than the team that we faced the first week, and man, you could tell a lot because we played the same, especially at that level, we played the same team the first game of the season, the last game of the season. First game of the season, we struggled. We lost. What do we do at the end of the year? We beat them. Just because we went into that game like we're not prepared. We just didn't have enough time to get everything done because we didn't have enough practice. So Houston should have been a little bit more clean, and they were. They didn't turn the ball over. The Steelers didn't have any takeaways. But the Steelers put the ball on the ground 4 times. Then, it was the 2 snaps. It was the strip sack with Kyle Allen. And to me, the low point of this game was the special teams. Special teams was not good.
Oh, my goodness. I think I turned to Kyle at one point and said, oh, man, Danny Smith is really chomping on that gum.
Yeah, and
he was not a happy camper,
No.
and he shouldn't have been.
No.
But he had that look of, guys, the look on his face said, guys, we've worked on this. This is exactly what we've talked about, and we're screwing it up.
Well, yeah, and you said it in the knee-jerk reaction article, which, love that, by the way. And because of the way you do that, that's why Jeff has made a change with the website. Rather than him do a game recap, he's like, you know what? You've got a lot of that in the knee-jerk. Let's keep that how it is. And he's doing a highlight article where it's trying to show highlights for the other game, putting posts in there that have videos and stuff. But in your knee-jerk reaction, you said during that first punt, you're like, why did Watkins fair catch that?
Yeah.
He had room to return it. Then he had the other one going back over his head. It's almost like he was making up for fair catching the first one, which wasn't the right decision. So then he made an even worse decision to try to catch it running back over his shoulder like he's a wide receiver, going in the wrong direction. At that point, your momentum's going to carry you so far back anyway. For all you know, the ball doesn't bounce downfield or bounces so far downfield it goes all the way in, There was more bad things happen by trying to catch that than it would have been by just letting it go.
Just let it go.
So, and just think, both touchdowns by Houston were set up by a punt return and a muff punt.
Yes. Both set up by I'll say less than quality special teams plays.
Yeah. So to me, I thought the defense was looking all right. What stood out for you on the defense?
Oh, hold on. Steel Dog said Danny must have went through 4 packs of gum. Steel Dog at one point during the game, I think he had all 4 packs in his mouth. Yeah. The wad of gum he was chewing on was huge.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy cow.
Yes.
So, all right, the defense. The defense I thought was for as vanilla as the schemes were, although I will say it was nice to see a couple Beanie Bishop blitzes. Mm-hmm. And I think those were the only blitzes run, and I think those were run kind of...
And they still weren't complex blitzes. No. They were just, all right, we're going to send you.
Where they were just, straight off, straight from the slot corner position, just send an extra guy kind of blitz. And... But overall, there were some good things that I saw. Like I said, I thought Peyton Wilson played pretty well. I thought the little bit of time we saw Nick Herbig, I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah.
I thought Montravius Adams, after coming in after Keanu Benton got hurt, I thought he played a really solid game. That might have been that was it. I felt like he was playing the kind of game you'd expect a Steelers nose tackle to be playing. Like that was almost, Big Snacks like.
Well, and see, I've got plenty to do because I don't know. I was traveling all day. I don't know that Jeff ran it today, but I had it ready for him. It's my article where I don't just give the PFF scores like I used to in the past. I actually give a breakdown of what I thought they got right and what I thought they got wrong. Montravius Adams had one of the worst PFF scores for defense. Yeah. And here's what's ridiculous. He had a great pass rushing score, a bad run defense score, but yet he played 12 out of 16 snaps as a pass rusher and 4 as a run defender, and his overall grade was almost the same as what it was as run defense.
Yeah.
Although his pass rush was great. I honestly, against the run, I did not notice him, so he might have been getting blown off the ball. I noticed him as a pass rusher and thought he was doing a really nice job.
Right.
And even the numbers say that he was rushing 3/4 of the time. So that's why I don't get how they do what they did. But they had a doozy. They had a doozy in there. One of the offensive linemen, one of the reserve offensive linemen, had a great pass blocking score in the 80s, but had a run blocking score in the 30s, and they gave him an overall score in the 30s. Do you know how many snaps he was run blocking?
0.
0.
Yep.
0. And yet they basically based his score off of run blocking scores where he wasn't even run blocking. He was pass blocking for every snap he was in there, unless they're off with their snaps. Something's wrong with that. They're in preseason form, but then again, you'd expect that from PFF all the time. I like to use PFF not because I think they're right. I just like to say if there's a big difference between what I thought and what they have as a score, I like to go back and look at it. Is what I like. Did we both freeze?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know. I was frozen on my screen for a little bit. Okay. Hopefully with the sound was coming through. We can't hear each other through what's coming through the speaker. So hopefully we did all right there.
Yeah, but I can't do my fake just move my lips on you this week. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But I throw those scores out there. But because you mentioned Montravius Adams, like to me, that just goes to show I don't know what they were paying attention to because I thought he did a nice job pass rushing as well. You mentioned Nick Herbig. Got to get the right brother. It frustrates me that they're giving more freedom for quarterbacks to basically ground the ball without being called intentional grounding.
That's ridiculous. We protect them enough already, and now we're going to put this other rule in there. It just is getting to the point where it's starting to not make sense.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. You could have said there was a receiver around the line of scrimmage, but I didn't think he was anywhere close enough to him with it. But bottom line is that was a great play by Herbig on that bootleg. Completely blew it up. But as you can see, You can make a great play on defense, and the defense comes that close. And what do you do on the very next play? Give up a 34-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more breakdown of some of those individual plays, I don't know if you caught this or not. Here we go, the Steelers show this week. Bad was still traveling back from his vacation. It wasn't all vacation. Some of it was work. He was away for a couple weeks. But the end part of it was a vacation. But he was traveling back. So it was just KT Smith. It was just Coach Smith. And he broke down some things. There's been a lot of different stuff out there about Peyton Wilson. We had people commenting on the postgame show on YouTube said, what are you talking about here, Gabe? He was awful. And then I had other people said, man, Peyton Wilson was just, yeah. But to me, I felt that he was kind of what you would expect from a rookie in their first preseason game, especially in the third round. Yeah. He showed flashes of what he could do. But then again, he led the Steelers in, according to PFF, because they're one of the places that track this during the preseason. He led the defense in missed tackles because he had 2 missed tackles. So that's going to happen with your inside linebackers. They're going to be in on so many tackles. They're also going to miss some tackles. But I mean, right off the bat, I felt like he was making his presence known. Oh, my goodness, the starters for Houston through the first quarter, they rushed the ball 4 times for 4 yards. That's what the Steelers, with half their starters not even playing in the game, that's what their first unit did against Houston starters, against the run. 4 rushes, 4 yards. I think it was 3 and out. 3 and would have been out, but instead it was a touchdown. And yeah, they really, other than the one big play, I thought that they did a nice job. But you can't erase that one big play, can you?
No, it's there. And, part of that just goes to show, and I know Coach Tomlin will use that in a way. It's like, look, guys, we do all this, but one small lapse, one person missed this out, one person do this, and instead of being really fantastic, for 2 series, we gave up a touchdown. And Coach Tomlin, the coaching staff will use that as a, hey, this was really good, but and actually you can say the same on the other side. Hey, that first string offense didn't put the ball in the end zone, but look at some of the things that they did that I thought were very positive. So it's more about what the coaching staff takes overall from the game, both good and bad. And like I said, I felt this was a good and bad game. It had some good, it had some bad. And last year it felt like most of the games were just good in the preseason, and it lulled us into a false sense of awesomeness.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Saturday, I was just kind of numb to the Steelers. I was just kind of like, people were already down on them, and I'm like, you said you weren't going to fall for preseason greatness again, but you didn't get preseason greatness, so now you feel like it's almost like Steeler fans have decided the regular season is going to be worse than the preseason, so the preseason better be great. Because you were trained for that for the last 2 years. This is not the same offense. So hopefully we can get new data, new experience, things like that. Anything else you want to say about this game before we take a break and move on? We'll probably still mention some stuff from this game, but just focus on that to see what we want to see to improve for next week.
No, I think I'm okay. We'll take our break because anything I want to come back and touch on will be in relation probably to things moving forward.
Gotcha. Yeah. So maybe we'll probably still be hitting on some stuff in the game, but we're going to look at it from a let's move on from here kind of idea. So if you're with us here on Facebook, YouTube, X, we're not going anywhere. If you are with us on the audio side, stick around. I'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, Steelers fans, we are back. We just had a little bit of fun there with two videos from the same location during that break. But Rich, it's nice to be here with you. It's nice to pick on you, and it's just good spending time together and talking about Steelers games. Because you know what? At least we're not talking about mock drafts. Even if you weren't happy with the preseason game, you've got to realize, it could be worse. It could be the end of February, where all you have to talk about is mock drafts and, oh my goodness, are they going to do anything in free agency? Like I said, that NFL does a good job of keeping you engaged all year long. But think about this: we didn't know the Steelers were going to have these three quarterbacks back at that time, and we're talking about mock drafts. Now we're talking about stuff on the field. So that's one thing I want to take away from this preseason game more than anything. We're back to talking about the Steelers playing football. And I would much rather talk about something that we've seen and is happening and what's going to happen than talk about that other stuff. There's a time and place for the other stuff. But now's the time to talk about these things.
Oh, especially this morning. It was temperature here this morning was 52 degrees or whatever. Mm-hmm. Really kind of cooled down. I walked outside and it was another one of those mornings just like, oh, it is nice and cool out. Again, got to thinking about two things I had a dentist appointment early this morning, was driving to the dentist appointment, and I just was thinking deer hunting and Steelers football.
See, to me, coming up here and being nice and cool and feeling that cool breeze, gorgeous day today, another gorgeous day scheduled for tomorrow. I picked a great time to be up here, getting some nice cool weather. To me, I'm thinking Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm like, man, I wish they had pumpkin donuts that I could pick up right now. So, it's just the way it is. So, I know. But there's another game. There's another game on Saturday. And here we go. This is for you all out there right now. If there's anybody who would like to go to this game in Pittsburgh on Saturday, I have 2 tickets for you. All you got to say is you want them. Reach out to me via email or Twitter. My Twitter or X or whatever is on the screen there, STLR Superfan Dad. If you want to email me, it's at gmail.com. I got 2 tickets. I'm not able to use them because I actually have to have somewhere I have to be Sunday, so I can't get back really early Sunday morning because I have something else. I have to be somewhere else. I have to be Sunday evening, so I can't do that. So if someone would like those, it's lower deck, 15 rows up. Yes, you're going to be in the Buffalo end zone where they warm up and everything. But if anyone wants those, just hit me up. I got 2 tickets for the first person who can arrange for me to give them to them. So, Buffalo is on the same schedule as the Steelers. And what's really weird is to think about when you hear the Buffalo Bills. What players do you think of? Like modern Buffalo Bills. Like you're getting ready to play the Bills.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Bruce Smith.
Yeah, Bruce Smith. Don't tell me O.J. Simpson and something like that. But meaning now, you're playing the Bills. You got to worry about, I think, 2 people. I think of Josh Allen, and I think of Stephon Diggs, who the Steelers played last week.
Exactly.
So it part of me is like, man, it just feels different. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there with their receivers. I didn't pay attention to who else they added. I know they lost him. I know they lost Gabriel Davis. But it's really not about the Steelers' opponent. It's really about the Steelers.
Yes.
And I was trying to remember which show I was listening to, if it was KT Smith saying this. I think it was Jeff on Let's Ride. Was like, you know what? You got that first game at home under your belt. Guys that have never heard Renegade before because they played Renegade. They played Renegade, which is great for those of you that go to the game and attend the game. Because I've been to a playoff game with no Renegade.
Playoffs?
That's right. I'm pretty sure that they played it in that awful Jaguars game because but they didn't even play it in the what I affectionately like to call the Ben Tate game, where they had to sign him off the street to play running back because Le'Veon Bell got hurt the last week of the season, and that was against that putrid purple team in Pittsburgh, and they didn't get to play Renegade, which was very disappointing. So you're there, you got to enjoy your Renegade, but the players, they showed Patrick Queen, he's even pretty hyped up about it. So you're experiencing that for the first time. Now get out there. The first game that you're out there is done. Now it's down to business.
Yes.
That's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah. Last week shook off the cobwebs.
I forgot. Sorry, I forgot about this.
What?
I guess we get to see Mitch Trubisky too. I forgot about that.
That's
I
true.
forgot about that. And then remember, the Bills also have Chase Claypool, who they just put on IR. They signed a former Steeler, Deion Kane, who was with the Steelers for a while. And like Wes said, Tyler Matakevich. Oh wait,
Yeah, he's on our side.
yeah,
now.
he's back on this side now. Sorry, go back to what you're saying.
Okay, so last week was about trying to get some of the stuff you'd started to implement in camp, get the cobwebs knocked off, get the jitters out, we haven't been on a field for so many months. That's great. Now that's done. Now it's done. Now it's okay. Let's get serious.
Yeah,
So, really looking to see some different things than this week. Of course, you're going to see some of it because we're going to see some guys play that didn't play last week,
yeah,
more than likely.
yeah. I think we will. Coach Tomlin's supposed to say at his press conference. It's so funny. They say, "Oh, in his press conference," but they won't tell us when it is. Last week they told us at like 8 a.m. that it was at 9 a.m. And it might be tomorrow. If it's tomorrow, I will tell you right now, if there's going to be a Steelers press conference podcast, it's not going to be me because I'm going to be on a boat. So I'm not doing that. I'm honestly, it'd be really nice if he does the press conference Thursday morning at the field, at Heinz Field before they have their joint practice.
Where?
That would be pretty cool. Oh, sorry, Acrisure. I can't really remember. You do have to go through the Heinz whatever to get there. But yeah, what's the second level where they have their meetings and press conferences at the stadium? If they do something special, is it it might be a UPMC.
Yeah, I think it's UPMC.
Yeah. So I've been up there for like Family Fest and whatnot. It's pretty interesting. So, but we don't know when that's coming. But when Coach Tomlin does his formal press conference, that is when you will hear about, Russell Wilson, which I'm assuming not only is he going to play, I'm assuming he's going to start. I think it just makes sense to do that. And hopefully, you start him and you do a series maybe two, and then you move on to everything else. It's funny because Afton asks this question, says, have they given up the idea of Nate Herbig at center? I don't think they've given it up, but I will tell you this. They have been playing him at guard some.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing that before.
And I would say also that if Frazier continues on the trajectory he's on, he'll be the starting center week 1.
Yeah, I felt they got more push. I talked about that in the post-game show. I felt I did not like the first 2 plays that the offense ran. I felt like the running play, they got no push on the line. Then they ran a pass play, I'm pretty sure that was
complete.
But it was quick, and it
Yeah.
seemed like he had pressure right away.
It was pressure right away to dump out to Najee.
Yeah, but then the third play was a nice pocket.
Yes.
Maybe they settled in a little bit. So, to me, you can learn more about that. That was pretty crazy that by the third drive, even with Fields, that it went from left to right. It went Jones, McCormick, Frazier, Anderson, Fautanu.
Yeah.
That's 5 players, all drafted in the last 2 years. Out there together.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you're curious about the PFF grades, the top 2 graded linemen went Anderson 1 and Frazier 2. So that was pretty interesting. So, but should see some Isaac Seumalo this week. I would suppose maybe.
I would imagine.
Unless he's dinged up at all. Don't know if we'll see like an Alex Highsmith. T.J. Watt might get a series or so because I don't think he's dealing with anything. Cam Hayward maybe, but we'll find out when Coach Tomlin talks. So you might get a little bit more because the question is, are you treating the second game like it was always about the third game when there was 4 of them?
Yeah.
You're building to that third game. Was it more important that it was the third one or that it was the next to last one? Some teams are still treating game 2 like the old game 3. Some teams were treating game 3 like game 3 because there just was you get 2 weeks off.
Yep.
So not everyone does those things the same. We'll hopefully hear from Coach Tom and get a better idea from that. But what do you want out of this game? What's the biggest thing you want to see after seeing what you saw last week? I assume it's going to be an improvement in one specific area or something you just didn't see before that you want to see this time. What's the biggest thing you want to see Saturday based off having one game under your belt and going into preseason game number 2?
See, that's a tougher question because honestly, for me, I'm still thinking right now, for some reason, I've been stuck in the mindset that I'm more about specific guys still than I am thinking about a unit as a whole. I'd like to maybe see definitely want to see a cut down on the what I don't know. I think Coach Solomon would probably call them the very correctable mistakes.
Yeah.
The
Doing the routine things routinely.
yes.
Yeah.
So let's get back to doing the routine things routinely. And believe it or not, just cleaning up a couple of those little things. Not having a couple of the stupid penalties that happened, cleaning up the snaps, not putting the ball on the ground. You clean those things up and you think about the game last week, and that's quite a change to that game last week. Just cleaning up a couple little things. Yeah. So I really want to see those things cleaned up and see exactly what doing just those little things does for the team as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because Travis L., that's E-L, says, I have a feeling they're going to work on the deep ball on offense. Last week was the screen game. I don't know if they're going to work on the deep ball in the preseason games. They've been throwing the deep balls in plenty of training camp. We've had plenty of that, which tomorrow, last day of training camp. Can't believe training camp is done.
Over.
I mean, we've been waiting. Just wait till training camp. Just wait till training camp. And yeah, tomorrow's the last tracker. I'll do my best to do that while I'm on a boat. For those of you that like that, it's steelcurtnetwork.com. So to me, it's such an important part of the game that so often gets overlooked. I want to see the Steelers not come out so poorly on special teams. They came in. They lost that matchup bad, in my opinion. But you guys can remember Houston. They missed a short field goal. But still, I feel like the Steelers, and it's not that Houston outplayed them. It's just the Steelers just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, they just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about the new kickoffs? Seeing that for the first time?
Stupid.
No, I'll be honest with you. The very first one was John Rice Plumlee getting tackled by his own guy.
Honestly, I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I think it looked terrible. It's not going to make the change the league thought it was going to make. That kind of stuff.
I might be breaking that down a little bit more on Pittsburgh Standard Time, so make sure you check that one out. Got some numbers I'm going to run over with that and where I think the future of that is. I
have the answer to that.
What type of boat will I be on?
A sunken one.
No, I had to make sure that didn't worry about the weight limit so much. No, we're just out pontooning it with should be enough horsepower to pull the tube behind it. Yeah. And everything, just to have a good time with that.
Wait! I got to bring up another one.
What?
Jeremiah says, Dave, if you're going to be on a boat, don't forget to bring your fishing pole. Jeremiah, it does Dave no good to take a fishing pole because within one or two casts, he will have that thing so tangled up that you can't fish with it. So,
That's so funny.
Seriously?
Our sister
Seriously?
chimed in the live chat. I'll bring it up. She chimed in. She's like, Rich, the stash. She looked just like that. No, what it is no, you've got the goat. It's just gray. It's just so gray.
It's so gray that you can't see it.
So,
gray down here.
Too.
Dark still on the mustache.
Yeah.
So, and
it does make you look
sis, be careful or your son's rent's going to go up.
Yeah. So, sorry, we're having a lot of fun. We're here in person. We're here together. So we're ready.
We have fun generally, but actually this just takes us to a whole other level.
Yeah.
So,
this is an interesting one from this past week. Mr. Stiller fan says, Washington has to prove he can break from the line and get open. I already ran a sub 4.6 40-yard dash. Well, where is it? We've seen it in training camp. You know how many played, according to PFF, who It's funny. PFF likes to say, well, the NFL uses our stuff. You know what? The NFL uses your stats and your alignment breakdowns, not your grades. Your grades are not good. I talked about that in the first half. But they do have good information. They give you the number of snaps played. They give you where players lined up for those snaps. It's some great data. Their grades are an opinion, but they have stats that are actual stats that you can take and do a nice job. I don't like how they do sacks. They don't give half sacks. They'll give two players one sack. So that like the number of sacks for TJ Watt for the season from them is different than what his official sacks are. But according to everything with Darnell Washington, you know how many times he went out for a pass according to PFF?
One. I only noticed him downfield on one play.
Now, he was the highest graded player on offense. Actually, he was the highest graded player overall. I'm pretty sure. If not, he was second. There's only 2 people in the 90s. He was one of them. Great run blocking score, great pass blocking score, and I think he had a 59.9 out of the average 60.0 on passing because he didn't go out for passes. And that's something I talked about on the Steelers preview with one Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman, that I wanted to see Darnell Washington. He only got 10 targets last year. If he's targeted multiple times in the first preseason game, then maybe we're going to see a little bit more from him. How many times was he targeted? No. I mean, he only ran out for one pass. Maybe that's a weapon they don't want to show too much, but man, it just doesn't seem right, does it?
No, and if that continues, I really start to feel that we've underutilized a potential weapon. But we've talked about where we feel that's happened in the past. I just hope that that's not necessarily the future.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just hoping. But at the same time, I mean, didn't you see reports of him? Oh, they used him. Oh, he caught a play in 11, caught a touchdown 11-11s and things of that nature. And how you would think that down close to the goal line, if you're going to throw the ball, he would be a matchup nightmare, just because just let him go up and rebound it, if nothing else. Or are they not even looking at that because he's just not shown and developed that part of his game? I don't know. I was at training camp. I just go for reports, but they're not putting anything on film in the preseason. That's for sure. Through one game, maybe that'll change. Do you think that changes this week?
Might change because one, you might see the first team offense for a little more. You might see, if the Steelers can sustain drive more. I'd love to see a 10-play drive from the first team offense.
Yeah.
Just to see more plays from them.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I wouldn't mind if it was only a 5-play drive, but they put the touchdowns up. You know?
Yep.
Or at least put points on the board. Just think about it. Steelers fans, the difference from last year to this year, they'd have been disappointed with settling for field goals. And we didn't even get that out of the first unit. So I get the frustration. But I think it kind of overshadowed how well the defense was playing, outside of giving up some good plays. And like I said, if you listen to how KT broke down that touchdown that they gave up, it kind of just went to show you there might be people involved with that might not be on this team in a month's time. Wait, that's much less than a month's time. That's what, 3 weeks? Yeah, that's not very long. We're only a few weeks. But today's Tuesday, so you're talking. Oh, not next. You're talking 2 weeks from now is when they cut down to 53. Holy cow, man! This is great. We're going to be into the regular season before we know it. But if we want it to come along too quick, next thing you know, it'll be over, and we'll be back to talking about mock drafts.
Exactly. So let's not rush things. Let me enjoy it.
Yeah.
Let me enjoy not talking about mock drafts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what? Let me bring this up because I will raise a point. So, Mr. Cellophane says, I really want Darnell Washington to become a success, let Pat have a great year, and get paid elsewhere. I don't know about that, but I just don't see that coming. I see us paying Pat to stay for the next half decade. That may also come into a little bit what we'll see early on in the season. Like for me, in that game the other night, it was more important to get a couple of targets at Freiermuth than it was for me to see some targets go at Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
In that first game.
Yeah. Well,
In that first game. Because I think the Steelers are really needing to reestablish Pat Freiermuth as a real threat receiving as a tight end.
yeah. And see, there's some people talk about, like Brian Brown here saying, I'll go ahead and bring it up because I'm going to I was going to kind of talk about this anyway. He says, the difference for me is preseason doesn't matter. As matter as I still get when the Steelers lose, it doesn't matter either way. Some of the best teams suck in preseason. That's true. My thing is, do you try to win the game? Yeah, because you want to practice winning. You want to practice winning football. But you have to remember that when it comes down to it, if let's say this. Let's say the Steelers have a play where they could have had the game-winning touchdown, and it was called incomplete. And they're like, they need to challenge. Well, it's not a scoring play because they called it incomplete. So they would have to challenge. The question is, you're like, do we want to challenge and win, or do we want another shot to show that we can win the game? It might be better off having more practice of trying to win the game, even if you fail and don't get it, because ultimately the result doesn't matter. In the regular season, by gum, you're challenged. Well, I mean, you think about it, change start would probably have been inside of 2 minutes, so it would have been automatic. But, I think you understand the point that I'm trying to make is that you're playing things out a little bit differently because it's the preseason. And it's not about, you would much rather put your team in situations to see how they respond to them than to actually, get a win. For example, let's say that the Steelers are down by 3 points on Saturday with 1:40 left and they have 2 timeouts. Buffalo just kicked a field goal to take the lead. They're kicking off to the Steelers. I think if they return that kick for a touchdown, Coach Tomlin would have preferred to see what his team would have done in 2 minutes to win the game more than seeing a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yes.
Because that's what you want to learn and gauge in the preseason. Now, you're not going to complain that your special teams did something good, but...
And you're going to take the W.
Yeah.
But you're going to say, really, it would have been nice to see the offense go out there and work the 2-minute drill and see if they could score.
And see if they could do it. So that's some of the stuff that I want to see. I want to see the first teamers a little bit longer because I think sometime the reserve, what they're doing as the reserves when they're in. Now, some of those reserves are going to be people that make the team and play in games, just not as much. It all depends on how they can mix and match things. Like, my goodness, Montravius Adams is still out there. Broderick Jones was out there for forever. And you're going to see a lot of him. But honestly, he needed the extra work, it seemed like. We kind of forget what really went down. Because someone already, Travis L. said it earlier. And I'm not disagreeing. He says about, maybe this time they'll work more on deep passes. Do you realize that the first unit, now some of them were dump offs that went for longer yards. They completed 5 out of 6. This was the first quarter when Justin Fields was in there. I'm just looking, when I say first unit, because I know they switched up some of the offensive line, I'm going when Justin Fields was in at quarterback. He went 5 for 6. And you could argue that the 6th one was really a catch. And even if you give him that catch and that yardage, there was only one pass completion that went for less than 10 yards.
Yes.
One. And that was the dump down to Freiermuth for 6.
For 6.
Everything else was double-digit plays. 12, 13, 15, those kind of things. So it's not like they weren't bombing it downfield 30, 40 yards. But at the same time, it wasn't all just okay, 5-yard pass, a 5-yard pattern where they're going to get tackled right away. They were getting decent chunk plays.
Or the wide receiver screens that go for -1 yard.
Yeah, things like that.
Yes.
Things like that. So now, everything else that came out there, even though, I was fine with Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen showed that he can be an NFL backup in my opinion. Even if he's going to be the number 3 for the Steelers. If something happened to one of the Steelers quarterbacks and then he has to be the backup, I'm okay with that. I thought he did well enough with everything there. But their yards per completion were much lower with the rest of the unit. Not even yards per attempt, just even the yards per completion. So remember that. You say, oh, well, they didn't really push the ball down. They were. I mean, think about that. A decent length pass to George Pickens. It was like was that on a 1st and 10 or 2nd and 9 or something like that?
2nd 9.
That was for a decent yardage for first down. Another one to Van Jefferson, should have been a second one. So you had plays like that with that first unit. And that's kind of like what I like to see. You know what's nice? Okay, before I tell you what's nice, I got to ask you this question.
Okay.
There were people instantly complaining that the offense was just the same under Matt Canada as it was under Smith.
Not even close.
No.
Wasn't even close.
No.
And I honestly
No.
just brought up one of the reasons why it wasn't.
Yeah.
We didn't see the wide receiver screens. We didn't see us throw it. We didn't throw the ball within just within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage unless it was swinging it out to the backs or things like that. It was not the same, as I like to call it, really short passing plays.
Yeah.
It was not. It was, to me, the receivers were running true NFL routes.
Yeah. It's funny, Wes did bring up a good point. He says, Kyle Allen showed he can miss wide open wide receiver. He did that
Yes,
too.
he did.
Honestly, in the end zone, and there was a couple times he overthrew people. I felt almost like the more open the person was, the worse he was getting the ball where it was supposed to be.
And some of that is just jitters and not having been on the field playing live football for a while. Mm-hmm. That's not made as an excuse, but to me that's made as those were things that we better see him improving upon, or else he may not find himself with a spot.
So
one of those things, I don't, forgivable's not the right word. That was tolerable in preseason week 1.
Yeah.
Some of those same things will not be as tolerable in preseason week 2.
Or I got you. Which we're on the cusp on it anyway. So KT pointed out a couple things on Monday. Like I said, go back if you didn't listen to that show. Go back and listen to it. It was so good. Some of the things he pointed out with Arthur Smith stuff. He pointed out that one of the fumbles you could tell was going to be a play action pass because the receivers were breaking down fields like they were going into routes. And the running back was going like they were getting the ball, and he was from under center. So it looked like it was going to be a play action pass, is what KT said. Also, go ahead.
And also, there was a play, Kyle Allen went play action pass, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. The middle linebacker had an open lane without anybody really there to block him to get to Kyle Allen, but he held because of the play action. And then by the time he came, he was nowhere close to getting to Kyle Allen before Kyle Allen threw the football.
Yeah.
So nice to see play action again.
So that, and also KT was talking about, he talked about a play that was 13 personnel. That's one running back, 3 tight ends. So you got a bigger package on the defense. And what did the Steelers do? They went empty backfield. And they got, he said they got I can't remember what the completion was on that one. He broke it down there. And I'm like, yes, there's no way you would have seen that under Matt Canada.
No.
We just didn't see it. And
well, if you'd have seen 3 tight ends on the field with Matt Canada, you would have handed the ball off.
And here's another thing. I think people forget how bad it was. To think this is bad just because they're not scoring points every time doesn't how bad it was, especially in regular season. Matt Canada just had a knack for, we need to use all 3 downs in order to get a first down. Heaven forbid we gain 12 to 15 yards on first or second down and actually get a first down. The only time you're going deeper like that is when you're in a long situation. Oh wow, like you get a sack or a penalty and it's 2nd and 15. Oh, then you can go 12 yards. So that way you can set up a third manageable. But at the same time, I also get frustrated with the Steelers defense. Once again, in your knee-jerk reaction article,
Yes, I did.
there was a 3rd and long, and instead
Third
of
and 15.
instead of saying we need to cut them down, you can't have a mentality of we got to just keep them short of the sticks. Because when it's 3rd and 15, you give up 14 yards. You know what you're giving them? An opportunity of 4th and 1. When it's 3rd and 15, you can give a little bit. You can give 7 or 8. But you shouldn't give 14 yards on a 3rd and 15. That's a loss. Because unless it's deep in the own end and where you're going to get the punt anyway, that's what you got to have field awareness. If the other team's in your zone and it's 3rd and 15, they're across midfield, they're at the 42-yard line, and it's 3rd and 15, you're like, if I keep them just short of the sticks, they're going to go for it. Or I'm going to let them in field goal range. That was a frustrating thing.
Yes.
I'd like to see that better just during the regular season. It seems like the Steelers defense too many times on 3rd down they try to defend 1 less yard than what the offense has to gain, and look at that as success. But you're also leaving yourself open to the other team going for it on 4th and 1.
Well, another thing is that if it's 3rd and 9 and you let the guy catch the ball at 8 yards and you don't make a picture perfect tackle, he's getting that extra yard and getting the 1st down anyway.
Yeah. So sorry I went off of that a little bit, but I did see a lot of people, Arthur Canada and stuff. I'm like, really? It just goes to show that you're not actually looking at personnel groupings and scheme, because it is different, and I think it's going to be even more different. Well, once again, I got to throw all this out to KT because he said these kind of things. When he was at camp, they had tons of motion. What did they show in this preseason game? Hardly any motion. That just goes to show you that they're not putting those kind of stuff in there and out there right now. Anything else you want to talk about before we close it up here?
Hit the question.
Hit the question. All right. The question is this. We're going into another game, so it's our tradition. Rich, give me your score for Saturday.
Yeah, this is
Remember, don't put it in there yet, everybody. Wait till I put it in the chat.
This is a tough one. Partly because not knowing yet exactly what we might see from the Steelers. And when I say might see, it depends, who's going to play, who's going to do what. I expect this one probably be pretty close. I'm going to go with something like, 18-16 Bills.
Okay.
Possibly, to me, it's probably going to be just a field goal game. Then it's just a question of who puts a little bit more together. Tough for me to say that it is the Steelers, especially because of some of the guys we didn't see on the field, and if they get their first action, how much is it going to be? What's it going to be like for them? That kind of stuff. So, but really, the biggest thing I think I'm going to see we will see, is the cut down on the stupid mistakes.
Yes.
If we see the cut down of the stupid mistakes, you take that same score and maybe put the Steelers in front. It's going to come. This is one of those games where it's just going to be like, okay, who makes a mistake at the end? Who fumbles a ball? And again, at this point in time, we're potentially even talking guys way down the depth chart that does that.
Yeah.
And decides the outcome of the game. Picking preseason is really hard.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about seeing so many different guys on the field at some point in time. Anything could happen.
Yeah. I'll be giving my score on Thursday. I will tell you this. If the Steelers don't find a way to put at least 20 points on the board, I'm going to be disappointed. Honestly, because unless it's one of those situations where you're down, you can, like this past week, where they had the opportunity, they went for it on 4th down, and they continued to do that and put up 0 points. You gotta show that you can at least put the points on the board. So I'm really gonna like that. Okay, I gotta get this out there so people. I know people are itching to go. And Brian Brown jumped the gun, so I'm not counting yours, Brian. Don't even try again. No, if you do it again, I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Thomas Riley.
Tie.
No, he's not doing it. He's saying 28-17 Steelers. Now remember, if you just put a score and don't put a team, then that means that we're assuming that you're seeing the Steelers win. Steel Dog 88 says 26-16 Steelers. Afton has 21-17 Buffalo. Wes has 23-21 Pittsburgh. That's an
I
interesting
kind of like that one, Wes.
I like that score.
And Wes, that's again, I like that score. Is one of those scores where the Steelers cut down on all the mistakes potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here you go. George T says 37-12 if Trubisky plays. That's Steelers. So here you have more up on your screen than mine because I can see him right now. This is crazy. There we go. Wait, I got it. Mr. Woodside has 2016 Steelers. John Walter has Steelers 23, Bills 31. Okay. Harvey Stone has 24-14 Steelers. BF Bud. You guys got to keep the receipts on these because I'm not going to remember if anyone gets these right. I'm clicking on it. It's not going. Has 27-23 Steelers. Valley Ford has 28-20 Steelers. Sherry Richards has 26-24 Steelers. That's a good, interesting score.
I like this.
Gavin Anthony says Youngstown / Pittsburgh 27. Rochester / Buffalo 20. David Poe has 20-17 Steelers. James Tresvant. We're getting some people coming back and names that I haven't seen with other things, but are throwing in their scores because now that we're back where we give scores. I like this. Welcome back, everybody. 31-13 Steelers. Brian Brown, I'll bring it up now. He's got 23-22 Steelers. That's the last one I have as of right now. So if we're waiting, if any more stragglers come in, I will say make sure you are checking out all of our podcasts. Don't know if one Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman's going to be on the preview on Thursday night or not because he's away, but he still might be able to join us. We're trying to get that all worked out. I already mentioned I'll have some Pittsburgh Standard Time coming there on Thursday morning. Tomorrow, I know you've got a Let's Ride. I know you've got a Steel City Insider. Those are already in the hopper, ready to go. And then the Pump Your Brakes guys will be back on YouTube. All the regular stuff pushing through. I don't think anything changes with our lineup with it being a Saturday game because we didn't really change much because that was the only Friday game, so we didn't make the homies have to move. They just didn't do their overtime show. Here we go. Got some more. Ruben Stone says 20-13 good guys. Wes says he's got screenshots of the scores. Good. Jeremiah Yoder said 28-14 Steelers. So, hey, also remember to check out SteelCurveNetwork.com. You'll have more knee-jerk reaction. We might have to tag team that one a little bit on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
because I know you have a dinner, so let's see whenever yours is going to be done. Also, let's see. Remember, I knew there was something I was going to say. If you want 2 tickets to the game, hit me up. They're free. I'll tell you, free. You want them? Just tell me. I'd rather have someone sit there for free than not. We've got Payne. It says 21-17 Steelers.
Payne is my middle name.
All right, Rich. It still seems weird that we're sitting next to each other. But what do you want to say here to close us out?
All right, going to close this out with, hey, if you were out there and caught my knee-jerk reaction, remember, too, my knee-jerk reaction, it was not, even with it, I didn't feel like it was up to my standards.
You're in preseason form.
I was going to say, I was in preseason mode, getting used to getting back in and doing that. Just so you all know, it's weird to try to do that while you're watching the game. It is kind of weird. Thomas Eads, 24-22 Steelers.
Just Steelers.
But it was fun to be back to it and looking forward to doing that some more. Again, I just can't say how happy I am to be seeing real football again. It's so much fun. I missed it so much. Now I'm happy.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know where I'm going to be Saturday night. Do you know where you're going to be? Can't wait.
You gotta just chill out, man.
can't wait.